Okay, let's unpack this. California is exploring a whole new way to fund road maintenance. Why? What's the core problem here?
Well, the fundamental issue really just boils down to their current system and whether it's going to work long term.
Mhm.
For years, California has relied, primarily on its gas tax. It's the highest in the country, actually, 59 cents a gallon.
Right, 59 cents. And that funds most of their road work.
Yeah, about 80% of road and highway repairs come from that pot of money.
Right. So the traditional thinking was you buy gas, you pay the tax, that fixes the roads. Simple enough, but something's disrupting that, isn't it? What's changing?
Exactly. The big change is electric vehicles, EVs.
Ah, okay.
More and more drivers are switching, and EVs, well, they don't use gasoline.
So they don't pay the gas tax.
Precisely. Their owners aren't contributing to that critical revenue stream. And as more people adopt EVs, that main funding source, it's just going to shrink. It's inevitable.
That makes total sense. Fewer gas fill-ups, less tax money for roads.
Sure.
Okay, so what's the proposed solution? What's California looking at?
They're seriously considering a per-mile road charge.
A per-mile charge.
Yeah, the basic idea is that all drivers in the state would pay a fee based on how many miles they actually drive.
Regardless of what kind of car. Gas, electric, hybrid.
Regardless of the vehicle type or, its fuel source, it's about distance driven.
Okay, a per-mile charge for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So the goal for us in this deep dive is to really get our heads around this potential new system. Like, how might it actually work, and what are people saying about it, the good, the bad? We're looking at info from CBS 8 San Diego here.
Exactly. And it's important to remember this isn't just some idea they cooked up overnight.
Right.
They've actually done a pilot program already to test it out.
Ah, the pilot program.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us about that. What did Caltrans actually do in this trial?
So the program just wrapped up recently, and they explored a couple of different ways to make this work.
Okay.
One way was just a simple flat fee, 2.8 cents for every mile driven. Didn't matter what car you had.
2.8 cents a mile, straightforward.
Yeah. And the other approach was a bit more tailored, an individualized fee based on the car's fuel economy.
Oh, interesting. So, like, under that model, someone driving a big SUV might pay a different per-mile rate than someone in a small hybrid or an EV.
That's the idea behind it, yeah. The thinking, I suppose, is that vehicles using more energy, even electricity, maybe have a slightly different impact. The pilot also tested different ways for people to report their miles.
Oh, so?
Things like, standard odometer readings, but also maybe using a plug-in device in the car.
A plug-in device,
Mm-hmm.
like something that automatically tracks and reports your mileage.
Potentially, yes. They were exploring the practicalities.
Okay, so they've been road testing the mechanics of it. Now, what's the official justification from the state? Why do they think this shift is necessary? What's Caltrans saying?
Well, based on that Caltrans video excerpt, the main argument is about sustainability, ensuring funding for the future. They see the gas tax, their main tool now, as just not reliable long-term, not with the growth of zero-emission vehicles.
Future-proofing the revenue stream, basically, as cars change. So how are they framing this new charge? How are they selling it?
They're calling it an innovative way to collect funding based on how many miles you drive instead of how many gallons of gas you buy. That's the key phrase. The focus is on linking road use directly to paying for road upkeep. Kind of like your utility bills, Use more, pay more.
Okay, that makes a certain kind of sense in theory. But as the CBS 8 report showed, there's pushback, definitely some resistance. Let's get into that. What are the main worries people have?
Well, there's definitely just general skepticism out there. One person in San Diego was quoted calling it a money grab.
Yeah, that just another tax reaction. Pretty common.
That underlying distrust is definitely a factor.
And we also heard from Assemblymember Carl DeMaio. He sounds strongly opposed. What are his big arguments against this?
He's very vocal, yes. And it's worth noting, he successfully fought a similar local mileage fee before, so he has a history here.
All right.
His main worry seems to be the cost, the financial hit on the average Californian. He estimates it could be somewhere between $900 and $1,200 per driver per year.
Wow. $900 to $1,200. That's significant for a lot of families. Where does that number come from?
He argues it would be very regressive and unfair.
Regressive, meaning?
Meaning it hits lower-income people harder. His point is that working families, often with longer commutes because that's where they can afford to live, they'd end up paying more.
Because they simply have to drive further. It's based on distance, not ability to pay, or even how efficient their car is necessarily.
Exactly. Unless they went with that individualized fee model, But the flat fee seems simpler to implement, perhaps. And DeMaio also raises another huge question.
Which is?
Will this actually replace the gas tax? Like the state suggests it might. He's very skeptical.
He doesn't think they'll get rid of the gas tax.
He basically said, and I'm quoting here, these people will never get up a tax. They're just going to add an additional one on.
Ah, the double-dipping fear. That it won't be a replacement, just an extra charge on top of the gas tax people might still pay.
That's the concern. It feeds into that lack of trust that maybe the state wouldn't actually eliminate the gas tax if this new charge came in.
And the CBS 8 report did mention that. Ultimately, it's the state legislature that decides if it replaces the fuel tax, right?
Exactly. It's not automatic. That decision is still pending, which, fuels the opposition and the skepticism.
Right. It's definitely not a done deal. And you mentioned the pilot program results. They're coming out later this year.
That's right. Those results should give us a much clearer picture, more data on how it worked, the costs, how drivers felt about the different methods they tested.
So that'll be really important for shaping what happens next.
Absolutely. It should shed light on the practicalities.
Okay, so bringing it all together, we've got this clear tension. The state sees a looming funding crisis for roads because of EVs.
A declining traditional revenue source, yeah.
So they're exploring this per-mile charge as a potential fix, but that idea is running into some pretty strong headwinds.
Significant public and political pushback, yeah. Worries about cost, fairness, and just basic skepticism about government intentions. Will it really replace the gas tax?
It really highlights this broader challenge, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How do we pay for infrastructure when the technologies we use are changing so fast?
That's exactly right. It's a question lots of places are going to grapple with, not just California.
Okay, so we've taken a pretty thorough deep dive into this potential road charge in California, the reasons, the mechanics, the debates. Now, for you, the listener, thinking about this big shift to EVs and the fact that roads obviously still need maintaining, what do you think is the fairest, most sustainable way forward? Is a per-mile charge the best answer we have right now? Or are there other ideas, other possibilities we should be exploring as our whole transportation world keeps changing?